Today, we're kicking things off with the latest UFC updates as the countdown to UFC 324 continues. With just 11 days remaining until fight night, anticipation across the MMA world is steadily building, and the atmosphere is beginning to heat up. There's no shortage of storylines developing as fighters make their final preparations, so let's dive right into today's updates. And before we continue, don't forget to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. We'll start with news surrounding the first ever Paramount card and a situation that recently sparked concern among fans. A few days ago, reports surfaced that the MMA community was worried about Justin Gaethje ahead of his highly anticipated matchup with Paddy Pimblett. The concern stemmed from a video Gaethje posted on YouTube, where viewers believed they may have noticed signs of a potential staph infection. As the clip began circulating on social media, speculation quickly grew, with fans questioning whether Gaethje was dealing with a serious health issue so close to fight night. However, Gaethje was quick to address the rumors and shut them down, clarifying that the issue was not a staph infection. According to him, the mark was simply the result of an ingrown hair and not something that would affect his ability to compete. Since then, an updated photo has surfaced showing noticeable improvement in the area, suggesting that the issue is healing. While everything appears to be moving in the right direction, only time will tell how things continue to progress as the fight approaches. At the highest level of competition, even minor health concerns can make a difference, particularly when it comes to conditioning and cardio inside the octagon. If the situation were to turn out to be more serious than initially believed, it could potentially have a significant impact on Gaethje's performance. For now, though, the expectation remains that he will enter UFC 324 healthy, focused, and ready to deliver another high-level performance on one of the biggest stages in the sport. We've got an important update regarding Sean Brady and his future in the UFC, as the welterweight contender has officially ruled out a move down to the lightweight division. Just a few weeks ago, reports suggested that Brady was seriously considering dropping to 155 pounds and exploring new opportunities in a different weight class. At the time, Brady explained that he wanted to undergo further testing before making a final decision. After completing that process, Brady has now confirmed that a move to lightweight is off the table. According to him, the testing made it clear that cutting down to 155 pounds would be neither realistic nor healthy. Brady revealed that he went through an intense dieting phase shortly after his most recent fight in an effort to assess how low his body could safely go. During that period, the lowest weight he was able to reach was around 190 pounds, and even then, he was extremely lean. Brady explained that a DEXA scan showed his body fat percentage was already near 7%, which is considered exceptionally low for a high-performance athlete. Despite being in peak physical condition, the numbers simply didn't support the idea of a further drastic weight cut. Brady also consulted with specialists at the UFC Performance Institute to get expert insight into the situation. After reviewing the data, the staff advised against a move to lightweight, explaining that the amount of weight he would need to lose would be excessive and potentially dangerous. In their assessment, making 155 pounds would require an extreme cut that could seriously compromise his health and performance. Based on those findings, Brady has decided to remain at welterweight moving forward. The decision appears to be rooted in long-term sustainability rather than short-term opportunity. Staying at 170 pounds allows him to compete at a high level without risking unnecessary strain on his body. And it keeps him positioned among the top contenders in the division. With this clarification, Brady's focus now shifts fully back to his path at welterweight, where he plans to continue climbing the rankings and pursuing his goal of UFC gold. We now move on to a positive update involving Nick Diaz, and it's encouraging news for longtime fans of the former UFC star. Over the past year, we've covered the various challenges and personal issues Nick has been dealing with, so we won't revisit those details here. Instead, the focus today is on a welcome sign of progress that suggests things may finally be trending in the right direction. Late last night, former UFC fighter and longtime Diaz teammate Jake Shields shared a video on Instagram showing himself training with Nick Diaz. The footage immediately caught the attention of the MMA community, as it strongly suggests that Nick is back home and actively spending time in a familiar training environment. For fans who have been hoping to see signs of stability and routine return to Nick's life, this moment was especially meaningful. In the post, Shields described the session as light sparring and reflected on their long history together. He noted that Nick Diaz was his primary sparring partner for nearly 15 years, emphasizing how good it felt to be back on the mats training side by side once again. The clip shows Nick moving comfortably, engaging in controlled exchanges, and appearing relaxed and focused during the session. While the footage does not indicate an imminent return to competition, it does represent a positive step forward. Training, even at a light pace, is often a sign of improved structure, motivation, and mental clarity. For someone who has faced extended periods away from the gym, simply being present and active can be a significant milestone. Shields also added a heartfelt message expressing how good it was to see Nick back in training again, a sentiment shared by many across the MMA world. Whether or not this leads to a future fight remains uncertain, but for now, the most important takeaway is that Nick Diaz appears to be in a healthier and more positive place. For fans who have followed his journey for years, this update serves as a reminder of the deep bonds within the MMA community and offers renewed optimism about Nick Diaz's path forward. Nickal has responded directly to the backlash he's been receiving from the MMA community following the collapse of his highly anticipated matchup with Yoel Romero. Over the weekend, fans once again missed out on a bout that many had been waiting months to see, marking the second time the contest failed to materialize. Originally, Nickal and Romero were scheduled to wrestle at Real American Freestyle 4 in December, but Nickal was forced to withdraw due to injury. The matchup was then rebooked for Real American Freestyle 5 this past weekend, raising expectations that the long delay would finally come to an end. However, the contest fell apart once again, this time because Romero failed to make the agreed contractual weight. Reports indicate Romero came in more than 7 pounds over the limit, prompting Nickal to refuse to compete. The situation was further complicated when Romero went on to compete on the same card against Stephen Buchanan, which intensified criticism toward Nickal and cast the situation in an even more negative light. In the aftermath, Nickal faced heavy backlash from fans who felt he still could have competed, arguing that the matchup had now been lost twice because of his decisions. The criticism extended beyond fans, as Covington publicly blasted Nickal during a recent appearance on Submission Radio, accusing him of quitting and questioning why he would refuse to compete against an opponent nearly 17 years older. Covington suggested Nickal failed to represent the Real American Freestyle brand by pulling out again. Nickal didn't stay silent for long. During an appearance on the Ariel Helwani show, he fired back at his critics, stating that many of the people questioning his decision have never competed at a high level and don't understand what it takes to operate professionally in elite sports. He explained that his fellow wrestling peers were shocked that he even considered competing under those circumstances, and emphasized that while he is a fierce competitor, he also respects the integrity of the sport. Nickal added that this was not a charity exhibition, but a professional sporting event with clear standards. He stressed that he arrived prepared and professional, and if Romero had made weight, the match would have gone forward without hesitation. He concluded by saying he has no interest in booking another match with Romero, citing doubts about Romero's ability to make the required weight in the future. Covington has once again stirred conversation in the MMA world, this time by expressing serious interest in moving up to middleweight for a high-profile matchup. During a recent interview with Submission Radio, Covington made it clear that he is open to testing himself against some of the division's biggest names, specifically calling out Israel Adesanya and Sean Strickland as potential opponents. Covington explained that he believes his skill set would translate well at 185 pounds, despite the natural size advantages that middleweights typically possess. While acknowledging that fighters in the division may be bigger and hit harder, he emphasized that speed is where he sees a major edge. According to Covington, his pace, conditioning, and relentless pressure would give many middleweights serious problems inside the octagon. He also noted that he has been putting on size and strength, suggesting that a move up in weight is something he has been physically preparing for. Covington stated that he feels just as strong as many middleweights and is confident that the added muscle will not compromise his trademark cardio, which has long been a defining element of his fighting style. Among the names he mentioned, Israel Adesanya appeared to intrigue Covington the most. He said Adesanya is someone he does not particularly like, pointing out that the former middleweight champion has taken verbal shots at him in the past. Covington framed the potential matchup as an opportunity to settle those words inside the cage, challenging Adesanya to back up the criticism with action. Covington also spoke enthusiastically about a possible fight with Sean Strickland. He described Strickland as a cardio-heavy kickboxer and expressed full confidence in his ability to dominate that matchup across all areas. Covington believes his wrestling, pressure, and pace would allow him to control the fight wherever it goes, making it a favorable stylistic matchup in his view. While no official plans have been announced, Covington's comments signal a clear interest in high-profile middleweight fights. Whether the UFC decides to pursue these matchups remains to be seen, but Covington has once again positioned himself at the center of the conversation. Tsarukyan has made his intentions clear regarding what he wants next in his UFC career, and while his ultimate goal remains a legitimate lightweight title shot, he is not interested in sitting on the sidelines for an extended period. With Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett set to face off for the interim lightweight title and the #1 contender spot, Tsarukyan understands that a direct path to the undisputed championship is likely unavailable in the immediate future. The winner of the Gaethje versus Pimblett matchup is expected to move on to challenge for the lightweight title, leaving Tsarukyan in a holding pattern despite his position near the top of the division. Rather than waiting potentially a year or longer for his opportunity, Tsarukyan is actively exploring alternative high-profile options to stay active and relevant. One such option is a BMF title fight, and Tsarukyan has his sights set on the upcoming BMF matchup between Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway at UFC 326, scheduled for March. Appearing on the Ariel Helwani show, Tsarukyan expressed a strong interest in facing Oliveira again, particularly if Oliveira comes away with the BMF belt. Their previous meeting ended in a decision victory for Tsarukyan after 3 competitive rounds, and he believes a rematch would continue an unfinished storyline between the two fighters. Tsarukyan admitted that while he wants a real, undisputed title above all else, he does not want to waste valuable time waiting for the division to clear up. He pointed out that champions often defend their belts infrequently, sometimes only once per year, which can significantly delay contenders. From his perspective, remaining inactive is not an option, especially at this stage of his career. A BMF title opportunity, in Tsarukyan's view, would be a meaningful alternative that allows him to compete in a major fight while maintaining momentum. He believes that a BMF bout, particularly against Oliveira, would make sense both competitively and narratively, given their shared history. For Tsarukyan, it represents a chance to stay active, build his legacy, and potentially secure a decisive finish this time around. Whether the UFC chooses to go in that direction remains to be seen, but Tsarukyan has made it clear that he is ready for big fights and is unwilling to wait quietly while the lightweight title picture unfolds. Dana White has officially announced a major upcoming UFC event, revealing several high-profile fights that are set to headline the promotion's return to Seattle. Earlier today, the UFC's official social media accounts teased that Dana White would be going live to make significant fight announcements, and the reveal did not disappoint. The UFC will return to Seattle on March 28th, taking over the Climate Pledge Arena for a stacked night of action. Headlining the event will be a marquee middleweight showdown featuring former 2-time UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya. Adesanya, one of the most dominant strikers in UFC history, enters the bout with 16 of his 24 career victories coming by knockout, underscoring his reputation as one of the division's most dangerous finishers. Standing across from him will be surging contender Joe Pyfer, who is riding an impressive 8-fight winning streak. Since earning his UFC contract on Dana White's Contender Series, Pyfer has finished nearly all of his opponents, establishing himself as one of the fastest rising threats in the middleweight division. The matchup represents a critical test for Pfeiffer and a statement opportunity against one of the sport's biggest names. The card also features a high-profile women's flyweight matchup between former UFC champion Alexa Grasso and top contender Maycee Barber. Grasso, currently ranked number 3 in the flyweight division, made history as the first Mexican-born female UFC champion. She now looks to rebound and reaffirm her position among the elite of the division. Maycee Barber, ranked number 5, enters the fight on an impressive 7-fight winning streak. She currently ranks second all-time in flyweight history for wins, knockouts, and consecutive victories, trailing only former champion Valentina Shevchenko in those categories. The matchup has major implications for the future of the women's flyweight title picture. Tickets for the event go on sale February 6th via Ticketmaster. Fight fans can catch all the action live from Seattle, Washington on March 28th, with the event streaming exclusively on Paramount+. That wraps up today's update. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest UFC news. We'll see you in the next video. If you want, I can also make this more hype-driven or clickbait style, shorten it for YouTube Shorts, rewrite it in a press release format, add analysis on the main event matchup. Just let me know.